Okay, so I want to talk about segmentation. And segmentation is a huge portion of what makes a business successful. If you're not able to understand the 80-20 rule, then you're basically doomed to not really keep your millions, even if you make them. Because the 80-20 rule revolves almost in every single business, sometimes even more drastically. It could be as little as 99-1. And we see that in the global economy in the sense of, well, 1% owns all of the wealth. And not even 1%. It's literally 0.01% owns 99% of all wealth. And that's insane, but that's the type of things that happen inside of this world. The 80-20 rule exists almost everywhere that you start to look for it. It's kind of this weird thing. And segmentation is taking into account that 80-20 rule and treating it nicely. It's understanding that there's a lot of free users, all right? And free inside the mindset of someone can be very parasitic and deadly to your business. If you're just purely accounting for all free users and hoping some of them come out, but you're not identifying, that's what we all need to do, is identify out of this list who will then raise their hands and become a buyer. All right? And once someone has gone from free, here's what they've given you to become a free user. Their email. That's pretty great. That's nice. But this one's even better. This is the one that has 16 digits on it, and it has that awesome little number that says, hey, this belongs to John Doe right here, etc., owned by Visa. They lift up that piece of plastic, they insert it into their computer or their terminal, wherever they are. They have just said, I trust you enough to give you some of my money, some of my energy, some of my time to see if this works. I want to know. I need some help. So that's a huge step forward. Not everyone's going to do that. That's all we're really here for, is just this level. When you start looking towards just these types of people, this is all what traffic is. All traffic is free at first. But then once you identify it, you're identifying your buyers. Now, once you do identify your buyers, the next thing you want to ID is what I call hyper buyers. And hyper buyers are people who are in insane, insatiable amount of need. And let me even discuss a story just to kind of put into relationship. A hyper buyer sometimes may not even properly have the finances, but they'll find the finances. Me being a student, here was me in a hyper buyer mode, and I'm a hyper buyer myself. I love hyper buyers. I love being a hyper buyer. I identify with these people, and it's great to get in the mindset of these types of people. Go out, buy everything, and just absorb yourself inside of the content of whatever you want to do to be successful. And guess what? You're going to be a lot more successful than just your typical passerby buyer. So I'm a hyper buyer in terms of competition, and I look at business as a competition as well. But back in my college days, I loved ping pong. And when I say I loved ping pong, I mean, we had a little contest at the University of South Florida where we'd end up having little ping pong tournaments, and we'd, whoever won out of this whole rally sheet would get like $500. And that was pretty cool. To me, $500 was a lot. So I was going, well, in my mind, they're going to be having this once every semester. So they're going to have 2 a year, $1,000 a year. If I become the best while I'm all 4 years here, I'm going to make $4,000. So that was kind of my mindset. And I was a hyper buyer. And I had this distinct need to become the best ping pong player. So I went out, I got the paddle. I went out and I got a table so that $150. I got it from, someone that, a ping pong shop that was closing down. And I just got everything that I possibly could. I got ping pong training manuals. I was going online, and there was this one guy who sold a lot about ping pong, how to become a ping pong master. And I tell you, if this guy had a value ladder set up to identify his hyper buyers, because guess what? He had a front end and he had a middle, and I bought both, but he didn't have a back end. He didn't even have a continuity. He was missing these key areas right here. And with a back end, you can make a lot of money. You can make tons of money in the terms of coaching or offering a virtual boot camp or all types of things for no matter what you do. Whether it's health, make money online, improve your mentality, you're an affiliate for someone else, they have coaching programs probably. Someone does. And all of this is missing his back end. If he had offered me coaching and it was under like a couple grand, I would have probably taken it up. And that's crazy to think, but that's how like driven I was. And that was me. I was a buyer in heat. I was a hyper buyer. I was ready to go off and just buy anything and everything I could to solve this issue. So when you're able to segment, number one, ClickFunnels, like I said, it takes these buyers and it saves this information forever. So when you go and you deliver new sales funnels, new emails to these people, because you've segmented them, you talk to the buyers differently and you really talk to hyper buyers differently. Hyper buyers, you really don't need to talk to them every day because they're just waiting for whatever you're going to release that's new next. And usually you want to push them to the highest ticket product, which is either a continuity or a back end. One of those. And if they haven't already, then you're going to also push to the mid ticket, which I usually do like $1,000 plus. And all of those things, when you're pushing to those higher ticket items, they're going to be much more responsive, especially when you're not talking about what's previously been done. You can talk to them about that. Are you enjoying it? What have you enjoyed? Did you get that one piece in this training that was, I think golden for you? XYZ. You can send out those types of memos and emails, but you're really trying to push them towards that next step. The same with the buyers, but the hyper buyers, they've usually bought this and this and this. But the one thing that they're missing out on is that back end, and they're ready for coaching. They're ready to go off and pay $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 to get that personal one-on-one attention and help. So segmentation is a huge thing. And I know you may be thinking, well, how does coaching fit in my industry? There's always something. You just need to sit down and think about it. And when you have it and it's available, you'd be amazed at how many people just raise their hand and go, I want it, I need it. If you didn't have it available, they don't know. And because you even offer it, you'd be amazed at how many people will raise their hands. And is everyone going to say yes? No, not everyone's going to say yes, but a portion will. And when you're charging $10,000 for coaching, you only need 10 people out of an entire year to say yes. And you've made 6 figures just with that. Just with that. Nothing else. Not including your front end, not including your middle, not including your continuity, not including your other products that you sell and affiliates and other ways that you make money and all of that. Just your back end. So segmentation is a huge part of that. And you want to identify these 3 key areas. Your free users are everybody who comes in. Once someone has bought something from you, they're instantly segmented. They don't need those Seinfeld emails to push them to daily take action on something. They can then be talked to usually once a week or 2 or 3 times a week. Like, hey, now that you got that, and boom, you start telling them about the next product that they can get. Usually about, I give my buyers about 3 to 7 days, depending on the length of the product. For my book, I make it like 4 days. For my one 10-hour course, I end up making it 7 days. And I just let them know at the end, like, hey, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you're going to love this new thing. It's absolutely amazing. I start constantly contacting them about that. And then once they buy that, I might move them over to the next higher ticket item. And it's all about segmenting in different ways to identify what people have bought, what they haven't, so you can communicate to them effectively on what the next step for them is. That's all people ever want to be told when they're in the buying mindset. Believe it or not, they just want to be told what's the next step. They don't want to be told what to buy specifically. They don't want you to say you say buy this. They want you to say, if you have enjoyed this or if you bought this, then this is the next step for you. Saying that, the next step, people just instantly go, got it. I'm ready. I'm ready to take the next step. I'm ready to commit more. I'm ready to, and that makes a great hyper buyer, which is what segmentation is all about. Getting people to go from free to buyer to eventually a hyper buyer.